Before the auction, it's all about the marketing. Simply put, to attract more bidders to any lot, you need to set a price at a sensible level, and you need to make sure the property is obviously pitched in the right way. So for me, if I was advising a seller exactly what to do, one of the questions is, oh, should I clean it? Should I do this? Should I do that? No, leave the property in its rawest form possible, because that attracts the most amount of different types of bidders, and set the price at a really attractive level, and then let the auction do its job. During the auction, you're down to now the auctioneer themselves. There's very little that a seller can do mid-auction to affect what happens. All they can obviously have done is give the auctioneer some sort of discretion. So what I'll say to a lot of my vendors is, I know you want the reserve of X, but what if I get to just below X? What happens if the bidding stops almost at X but not quite? If you want a binding contract to come into force during the auction itself, you need to give me some sort of power to act at my best discretion. And so often I will ask a vendor, maybe the morning of the auction, do you want to give me some sort of overriding power to kind of control how the bidding goes? And that's all a vendor can really do during the auction. If the property hasn't sold, or perhaps it was withdrawn but is still available, the vendor does have now much more control again, but they are beholden to what bidders want to do post-auction. Quite obviously, if a property has gone unsold, the buyer now has a bit more control, because whatever they will offer might not be exactly what the vendor wants, but it just becomes a post-auction negotiation. The vendor will obviously now be able to sort of say yes or no, which they obviously can't do while the auction's in progress, but ultimately there's not a great deal a vendor can do after an auction other than wait for bids to come in and then decide if they wish to accept or not. Furthermore, of course, they'll discuss with the auctioneer a slightly longer term strategy if they so wish, maybe to re-offer the property in the next available auction. Sometimes, rather than accept a low bid post-auction, it might be advisable for the seller to simply relist the property in the next available auction and try and go for the higher price. In conclusion, a vendor does have some things that they can do to affect the end sale. What I would advise is, don't spend money on the property pre-auction. The money you spend pre-auction will probably not come back to you in the auction price. Auction bidders are shrewd, they are sensible, they know what they're doing, and they will see past boxes and a bit of mess. From a vendor's point of view, to maximize your profit, try and spend as little as you can before the auction. Give the auctioneer control on auction day if you can, and set your reserve at a sensible level that will ensure bidding takes place. And then you should have the best result.